His letter summarizing quarter four of 2020, the famed asset manager says the potential devaluation of the dollar could dramatically boost Bitcoin's corporate adoption at the expense of cash. But this is what's happening, and this is what's going to continue happening because if inflation picks up, or even if it doesn't, but it's going to, and more companies decide to diversify some small portion of their cash balances into Bitcoin instead of cash, then the current relative trickle into Bitcoin would become a torrent. This is why you may have noticed, remember we saw an uptick in not only Bitcoin's price, but in the amount of news of companies who were getting into the space when banks started saying that this year that the US dollar was going to continue to be devalued. Remember the news we had about 4 days ago that the US dollar hit a brand new low? This is why we keep seeing so much money into the market. And what I need to make sure that everyone really understands, and I know it seems the word is unbelievable a word? It's definitely a word. Unimaginable. Yes, it's people keep focusing on, and I know it's important. Got it. Bitcoin at 40,000, Bitcoin at 41,000, Bitcoin at so-and-so, not realizing that we are getting price predictions by banks who are saying that next year, Bitcoin is going to be $650,000. That is a collapse of the old system and a richening of people who are in the brand new system. That's next year. What happens in 4 years? What happens in 8 years? We've already gotten price predictions for Bitcoin by the end of this decade, not century, decade, for Bitcoin to be $1 to $10 million. What we're seeing now with Bitcoin rising from 20,000 to 41,000 is a drop in the actual bucket of life. I am so glad. Hello to you, Patreon supporter who sent me that message about a day or two ago telling me basically how much money you've made. That's the point of this channel. I want everyone to really understand. Why do you think I've been going so hard the last couple of years trying to make sure that everyone really pays attention? It's easy to be discouraged when the market is down. That only fuels me even more because I'm like, this is a really good time for people to be able to get in. This is why I was, the $3,000 Bitcoin. The point is, what we're seeing now are major names getting into it, but there are millions of millionaires on the planet who haven't even thought about trying to get into Bitcoin. But they're going to. There's something psychological about people. I'm glad I don't have it because I think I'd be broke otherwise. Is the idea that I want to buy something when it's expensive. To take Tesla, for instance. 4 years ago, Tesla was basically like a bit of a laughing stock. Every time Elon Musk did something, no one paid attention. He was trying to do all these things and everyone's like, sure, Muskie, take your time, whatever. Tesla is now seen as a powerhouse. And there was a CNBC report it had to be weeks ago at this point, where they were talking about how many people are now trying to buy Teslas. Why are they trying to buy Tesla? Because it's now a status symbol. You have a Tesla? You must have money. Why didn't you have a Tesla 3 years ago? What was the point of you buying it when everyone else can see that you actually have this money? Same exact thing is going to happen for Bitcoin. There's a reason why, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, I posted a photo and I laughed for like a good hour. And it was basically someone being like, Bitcoin's at 3,000, buy Bitcoin. They're like, I don't want any. Bitcoin's at 6,000, buy Bitcoin. I don't want any. Bitcoin's at 20,000, buy Bitcoin. I don't want any. Bitcoin's at 30,000. I want all the Bitcoin. This is why I don't even think that many retail people are in there, and I don't even consider people who are already in the market. Like if you're listening to this right now, I don't really consider you retail. I consider you hyper early adopters for where all of this is going to actually go. The point being, without having to ramble on any further, when we pass by 50,000 and have a $1 trillion market cap, Bitcoin's already been in the news a lot the last couple of days. I'm kind of shocked, but I guess it's because, the prices are going too high and you can't really ignore it anymore. When we pass by the $1 trillion mark, that drop is going to become 3 drops and it's going to become more and more intense. When Bitcoin becomes so expensive, how many people do you know have been asking you how to get into the Bitcoin space now that Bitcoin is completely out of their reach. Imagine how much more that's going to multiply when Bitcoin hits 6 figures. And your friends, listen, tell you this right now, adult to adult, don't ever tell anybody how much Bitcoin you have. I saw a comment a couple days ago, and I forgot the exact wording of it, but it was something along the lines of like, when someone's asking me how to get into the space, should I tell them how much I have and how much they should? No. When you go to a party and you meet somebody and you're sitting next to them, do you tell them, hey, I got 30,000 in my bank account? It doesn't make any sense. Don't ever. And I don't care, unless you are married to them and you trust them, that's about it. I can't even go any further, because even family at that point is like a little bit of a question mark. Don't tell anybody ever how much. Don't tell it in general. Why would you tell anybody how much you have, even for Bitcoin or money? Don't go spreading that around. That's nobody's business but you and your mind and your bank account. Nobody else's. So to finish off this entire thought, I even forgot where I was. Bitcoin is going to do exceedingly well over the next couple of years. A lot of people are not prepared for how well it's going to do. I know it seems a bit surreal even right now, the prices that we are experiencing, but this is nothing. The world's economy was already in shambles from 2008 and 2009. The problem was never fixed. Money was printed and was thrown at the system. You can only do this for so long because of inflation. So listen, I just saw an article. See if you can find this. It says once the next president takes over in the United States, it's expected, I think, that the next couple of stimulus will be around like, I think 6 trillion or something like that. Anyway, I'm glad you're all along for the ride, because it's going to get really weird really fast. And I am glad that you're here now. I'm glad that you have what you have, because keep this in mind, for those of you who didn't hear that other video, in order to be part of the 1%, the 1% of Bitcoin holders on the planet, you have to have 0.28 Bitcoin. So 28% of a Bitcoin. You then have more Bitcoin than billions of people on the planet will ever be able to have. Ever. Like mathematically, they cannot and will never have more than you. So consider yourself extremely lucky, because you're an early adopter. And I think this is the actual, here's his actual letter for those of you. I know, once again, people like to read these things, so have at it. Moving on.